Draft. Let's have a little conversation now, Charean, shall we, about the general managers most likely to do something that makes us say whoa, or some other four-letter word. If you spell whoa, I guess whoa is either W-H-O-A or W-O-A-H. Either way, it's a four-letter word, and I can think of others that I would potentially say on Thursday night. That's part of the fun, those moments where you say, holy whoa, on Thursday night. So give me one that you're thinking of that's going to make us say whoa or some other four-letter equivalent.
Well, I'm going to go with Howie Roseman and the Eagles, Mike, because they do have all that draft capital. They've already made one move, getting rid of 3 first-round picks to go down to 2 first-round picks and get more draft capital in this draft and in next year's draft. So at 15 and 18, they can do pretty much whatever they want. So they can target whatever player they want. They can go get that player. We've seen the Eagles move around a lot over the years. I expect them to move in this draft, either up or down or trade picks for future picks. But I think the Eagles are at some point are going to make us go, whoa, or something else.
And the other reality, too, is Howie Roseman has job security. He's very tight with the owner.
Yeah.
I think owner Jeffrey Lurie likes having Howie Roseman as the GM because Lurie can stir the pot. Roseman will let him, and Roseman will run interference for him. We really don't think of Jeffrey Lurie as a meddler, but I kind of think he is. And Howie Roseman knows if you want to stay employed by this guy, you let him meddle, but you let the tracks be covered by your name and your title and your involvement. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that. I'm going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid / Brett Veach. I know Veach is the GM and he's done a great job, but Andy Reid is the guy who's calling the shots. They've got 2 picks at the bottom of the round. They surely are targeting a receiver. They need a number 1 receiver. I don't care what they say. Oh, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Look, you can talk all you want about his high-end ability. What did he really do in 4 years with the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback and no clear number 2 across from Devonta Adams? You've got Devonta Adams getting the bulk of the attention from the defense, and MVS never became a sustained great player. Juju Smith-Schuster, what's he going to do? Where's the guy that's going to be the game breaker, the guy that's going to be the red dot player like Tyreek Hill? They can say all they want. We can still make the offense go without him. You still need that guy. And I think they've got a plan to go get a guy. I think by Thursday night when the draft is over, we're going to be saying, okay, we understand why the Chiefs moved on from Tyreek Hill. And there's going to be that moment during round 1 that makes us realize they went and got their guy to replace Hill.
And you know what, Mike? A great quarterback always makes receivers better. And when I look at the Packers lineup of receivers that we just talked about, it reminds me of all those bad to mediocre to whatever receivers. None of them were great. None of them were Pro Bowlers for most of his career. I know he had Randy Moss, and I know he had AB for a couple games, so he had some good receivers. But when you look at that list of Packers receivers, it reminds me of what Tom Brady played with most of his career. And he made his receivers better. Remember Troy Brown? I mean, Troy Brown would have been a nobody anywhere else. And that's what Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers do. Give them a really good receiver, and they'll make that receiver great. Give them mediocre receivers, and they'll make those receivers good.
Give me another team whose GM could make us say, whoa, come Thursday night.
Well, we talked a little bit about the Steelers. I'm going to go with Kevin Colbert. It's his last draft, and you know he wants to put a stamp on the future of the Steelers. I'm going to be surprised if they sit at 20 and draft a player. I think they're more likely to trade up and take a quarterback, perhaps Malik Willis, perhaps Kenny Pickett stays home, whoever it is that they've targeted. But I think they get that quarterback, and Kevin Colbert can walk away and say, I left this team in really good shape. I left them with a future franchise quarterback. I drafted Ben Roethlisberger, and he was here all those years, won a couple Super Bowls for us. I've left them in really good shape. I think he wants to go out of this draft, Mike, with leaving this team in good shape, and I think he will. They draft well every year anyway.
Very long 20 years between Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger. They need a franchise quarterback. I don't want them to be too desperate to go get one. But in Colbert's last draft, if they really like one of these guys, if they're attracted to the competitive nature, that's something Mike Tomlin talked about yesterday, then maybe it's Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett. We've already talked about Brian Gutekunst. I would have picked him here, but let's give some time to another team in the NFC North, the Detroit Lions. I think Brad Holmes and Chris Spielman, who's very involved in running that team, and he does a good job of keeping himself behind the scenes. I think they're going to have a surprise or two in store for us with not necessarily the second overall pick, because I think they're going to end up with Aiden Hutchinson. And I think you run to the podium with that pick if the Jaguars don't take him, especially because of the Michigan connection. And, you know, this is ultimately a business where you try to get people to separate the money from their wallets and show up to your games, where they can separate more money from their wallets on all the overpriced stuff that they sell. But at number 32, I think that they're either going to trade out with a team that comes and takes a quarterback, or they're just going to take a quarterback at 32. And everyone's finally going to realize that Jared Goff's days are numbered in Detroit. He's got one more year as the starter if the Lions end up taking, whether it's Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, whoever's still there at number 32. And remember, that's how the Ravens got Lamar Jackson back in 2018. Yeah. And that's a hot spot for quarterbacks because it's the last one that you control for 5 years. Think of the mess the Ravens would be in now if they had gotten Lamar Jackson one pick later than where they got him. Yeah. They would have had to franchise tag him this year because he won't negotiate with them. So if you want a quarterback, that's why the over-under is 2.5 on quarterbacks. I'm tempted to say over. I'm tempted to say there's going to be two before we get to pick 32. And at pick 32, there's going to be a third quarterback where somebody either swings in and takes it with a trade, or the Lions go ahead and pick the guy with the spot they currently hold.
Oh, and Mike, that's huge. That fifth-year option is just huge, and teams know that. So I'm with you. I'm going the over on that. I think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks to go in the first round, and that some panic is going to set in after Willis and Pickett are gone, and there will be a third quarterback drafted at the end of the first round. And I love what the Lions are doing. I like the way they're building this team. They're a quarterback maybe away from having a really, really good team. But 5 years from now, maybe 3 years from now, whatever it is, I think we're going to be talking about the Lions as contenders. And it's been a really, really long time since we've said that.
I'll attribute some of that to your Dan Campbell, Texas A&M connection. I'm not ready to sign on yet with the Lions as contenders, but I like what they're doing. And there will be some adversity that they have to deal with and not abandon ship. Yeah. Keep moving forward, but get more players who are the personification of the kneecap-biting attitude that Campbell tried to set last year. And that's why I continue to try to speak Baker Mayfield into existence. And I'm not going to give up on that. But if they draft a quarterback bottom of round 1, I'll quit talking about Baker Mayfield to the Lions.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.